Energy is the theme right now. So, what would you do if you had even more energy? The reason I asked you this is because low energy levels are one of the most frustrating issues that high performers face. Spinning so many plates and always trying to do more is necessary to some extent, but it can be demanding, right? And without effective strategies in place, we can't generate the energy we need to follow through on what's important to us. So you're not alone if you feel like you're constantly like plugging power leaks in your life and struggling to keep your head above water while striving for more. But it doesn't have to always be this way. In fact, we can generate more energy in any moment and channel it to last so that you can show up full of vitality when it counts. Now, our next speaker is no stranger to burnout, exhaustion, chronic pain, and is no stranger to you. It's our very own Jonathan Mills. He's been helping people understand their bodies to be able to live pain-free and a health abundant life since 2001. And he's learned that energy is one of the most powerful currencies, if anything, the most powerful currency that exists. And if you truly want to experience optimal health and vitality and make a difference in the world, then this is a must for mastery. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Jonathan, where he's going to be sharing with you how to energize your life to make a difference for those that you love.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the beautiful intro, Charlotte. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So one thing I want to touch on, what I think a couple of our speakers have mentioned already, is about, even Charlotte mentioned in her speech, is when people are looking from the outside in, everything looks perfect. And I know I've had a few comments from people saying, oh my God, you're living the life. You look so relaxed, you look so calm. And I do now, but I never used to be this way. I never used to be relaxed and calm. I never used to just kind of be with myself. Like one of the biggest sayings that really stuck with me in life is, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. And at the time I first heard that, I was too far into my own suffering to even know how to connect with those words, even know what those words meant. I wanted you to take a bit of time. I want you to imagine yourself working 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. And on that one day off you have each week, you're still obsessing over work every single time. And some of you might be thinking, yeah, I do that every day. Okay, some of you might go, what, who would work 16 hours a day? What's wrong with you? But I want you to imagine as well, you get home from that 16 hours a day, you go to bed late, you wake up early, you're sacrificing quality restorative sleep that you desperately need each night. And most of the time, you're not even able to stay asleep because your mind's racing, you're overwhelmed with all these thoughts entering your head. And when you wake up, you're exhausted. You're downing 9 cups of coffee a day just to survive the day, not even to live, just to survive. You're walking around in constant chronic pain 24/7, to the point where the pain would get so bad it would affect your vision. Okay, imagine blaming everyone around you for the life that you don't like, that you don't want, living in a state of anger, frustration, and only feeling what you think is peace and calm on that one day off you have each week. You're destroying your relationships due to lack of presence, energy, and empathy. You're playing the victim and constantly complaining about how everything is unfair and why everything bad is just happening to you. And the only escape you ever get is the crazy amounts of stress you're putting on your body when you go to the gym for 2 to 3 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, training so hard that your body forgets what it feels like to be pain-free. And you're eating so strict and boring that you sacrifice any socializing with friends to avoid the temptation that could ruin the results you're trying so hard to strive for. Now, ask yourself, how does it feel to live like this? If this is you living like, how does it feel? Does it sound healthy to you? Does it sound like someone who's living their best, optimized, energized life? Give me a little thumbs up if you agree, if that's it, energized and optimized, or a thumbs down if you don't. Yeah, just can you relate to this? Some of you might be saying, hell yeah, you've just described my life right now. Okay, and some of you are probably thinking, who lives like that? Like, how is this person you described not still alive? Now, imagine yourself doing that year after year for 10 years or more, and you start to get a glimpse of what I put myself through mentally, emotionally, and physically and energetically. This was me. This person I've just described was how I lived my life for over 10 years. I'm sure a lot of you are listening could probably relate to a lot of the past in that story. But for me, these 10 years were just a very small part of my, well, of my life, really. I was born and grew up in South Africa in a very traditional environment. My dad worked. My mum was a stay-at-home mum looking after the kids, myself and my 2 sisters. And growing up as the only boy in the family, I quickly learned from my dad, who was very, very old school, that emotions were something not to be focused on or paid attention to. As a male, showing up any type of emotion that showed your vulnerability when it was just not accepted in that time as we're growing up. So I got taught to suppress my emotion, not to show anything that made me vulnerable or showed as a sign of weakness. Okay. And this was not a conscious lesson my dad taught me. This was an unconscious conditioning of his upbringing. And I just soaked up every word, every action, every experience growing up around him because he's my dad. Why wouldn't I be? I was a kid growing up, of course. I'm the only boy in the family. I'm going to soak everything up that my dad was teaching me. So anger, sarcasm, humor were the only acceptable ways to deal with serious situations. I would snap at people that I cared about. I'd deflect with sarcasm. I'd hide behind humor. These were my go-to ways of dealing with everything in my life. And this stuck with me right into secondary school, to college, into the work environment, which just compounded year on year into that suffering that I mentioned earlier. Now, one of the biggest emotions that really stuck with me through this time and held me back a lot was fear. And at that time, I really had no idea what emotions were. I didn't know what I was feeling. I had no idea what was going on. Now I know what it was. It was fear, but I was operating from pure survival instinct. Like, fear for me started around the age of 8 or 9, when I remember one night, after coming home drunk, my dad, basically the first time he ever laid his hands on my mum, he hit my mum while he was holding my sister in her arms. And as I was 8 or 9, I was small. My dad was 6'4", 120 kgs at the time, like a mountain of a man. And that was like huge shock. That scared the crap out of me. Okay, like that fear of not being able to help my mum and stop my dad from what he was doing stayed with me for so long. But I couldn't understand what I was feeling. I didn't know how to deal with it. Like, that fear turned into anger, and I became a very bitter and very angry person, and which showed off in a much bigger way especially when I started to enter the work world, when I started my career. I started to operate from a place of fear of not being good enough, fear of what people might think about me, fear of failing in every aspect of my life, whether that's my relationships, my finances, my career, my family. And because I didn't know how to process my fear, this led me to getting stuck in that state of anger, stuck for well over 10 years, well over a decade, because I refused to accept that fear. And I decided to be angry instead, unconsciously. Like, I was managing teams in the work world through fear instead of compassion and empathy. I got the nickname from my colleagues, the Hulk. Okay. And it wasn't because I was big and strong, it's because I was angry all the time. Okay. And I say that to people now and they go, no way you are angry all the time. I said, you're so calm and peaceful. I am now. I wasn't back then. I was angry all the time. And Charlotte can attest to that as well. Like, I was always choosing the hard way unconsciously to really get the results I wanted to get. And I did get the results most of the time, but there was an easier way and a healthier way to do that, which I didn't learn so much later on. But there was a big pivotal moment that happened in my life, which is kind of that pivotal moment started my healing journey, my self-development journey, but I didn't know it at the time. Into October 2011, I had this feeling that I needed to reach out to my best friend at the time. His name was Tommy. I just had this feeling. I haven't spoken to him for a few months, and I just had this feeling that I needed to call him. I was trying to get hold of him. This guy was like a brother to me. He was the only person I ever felt truly connected with back then. And he was that type of person where you could not speak to them for months, and then as soon as you kind of connect with them again, it's like no time has passed at all. You just catch up where you left off. It was that was that kind of very close connection. And after multiple attempts of trying to contact him, I finally got a call back from his fiance telling me that he'd literally just been about a week ago diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and was given 6 months to live. And considering the fact that I've known this guy pretty much my whole life, I haven't spoken to him in 6 months, and I thought everything's fine. I just had this feeling to reach out. And when I heard that news, honestly, I didn't even know what to feel. And just to give you some context, at that point in my time, I was in a job I hated. I was not enjoying it at all. I was in a relationship that was not going well at all as well. I was only connecting with my family maybe once or twice, like probably every 2 years, because I was very disconnected from my family. And when I got this news, it felt like this kind of bomb inside just went off. Something just imploded in me. And I honestly, I don't even know what I felt at that time. I just remember it was the first time I ever remember crying. And obviously, as growing up as the only boy in the family, one thing I learned from my dad is you don't cry. Men don't cry, quote unquote. Very great lesson I learned there. But that was the first time I ever remember crying. And even then, with that tragic news, everything that was going on at that moment, I still was beating myself up for crying. I was like, what are you doing? Like, man up. Crying's a sign of weakness. You shouldn't be crying. So I'd suppress those emotions. I'd push it deep down. I'd force myself to stop crying. And I was just pushing it down and not feeling anything. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I was kind of spiraling into this pit of depression and apathy. And all I could think of was, what is the point in anything? Like, work had no meaning, friends had no meaning, life had no meaning. For 6 months, I watched my friend turn from this funny, strong person who was always cracking jokes all the time and making people laugh into the end, this really frail person struggling to crack a smile, let alone tell a joke. The transformation was so quick. It was so shocking that I struggled to really understand what was going on, what was happening. And I really had no idea how to deal with it. I had no idea what I was feeling. So I just decided to do what I always done, was suppress it, repress it, lock it away, put the lid on tight, seal it away, as I was taught to, because I thought I was being strong by doing that, or what I thought or what I believed strength was at that time. And then I remember getting a call from his wife saying the doctors think that he might not make Christmas. This was in October. And he said might not make Christmas that year. So every spare minute that I had, even time that I just skip work, I wouldn't even go into work. I'd just basically be down the hospice, spending time with him as much as I could. And I know his one main wish was to see Christmas, because it was his son's first Christmas, and into January, which was his son's first birthday. He really wanted that before, obviously, he left this world. And lucky, thanks to God, thanks to whoever, the energy, whatever you want to believe in, he made it to Christmas. He saw his son's first Christmas. He saw his son's first birthday, which he was ecstatic about. I was so happy that obviously he got that as well. It's kind of like one of his final wishes to make that. So everyone thought, okay, he made Christmas. Yeah, he's gonna last a bit longer. And it wasn't until the end of January that he really started to take a turn for the worse. This is when I got a call from his wife saying that the doctors think it's going to be anytime soon. And when I got that call, I was in my car. I just left a job interview. I got offered a job on the spot. And then after I got offered a job, I got a text message from the girl I was dating at the time, who ended our relationship at that same time. And then after that, I got a call from his wife saying that he might be gone soon. So you can imagine the mix and entanglement of emotions I was feeling at that time, and I had no idea what was going on. I just felt completely overwhelmed. My energy was at an all-time low. I was just burnt out in every single way imaginable. And as he got progressively worse, I got more and more disconnected from everything in my life, including myself. All I wanted to do was just be with him. And I didn't like, nothing else mattered at that point. And Tommy actually passed away on the 21st of March, 2012, which is my birthday. So that adds to the awesomeness of it. But the funny thing is, I kind of knew that was coming. He's the type of person, he's such a funny guy. I knew he was kind of waiting for that date. Every time I got closer and closer, I knew he's waiting till my birthday, isn't he? He's waiting until go, because he's going, you're never going to forget me now. And it's like, he's the type of person you can never forget. And because in fact, I've got it tattooed on the inside of my arm. You can't see it now, but it's, I don't see that as at the time I was going, oh crap, okay, now our birthday is associated with my best friend's passing. Now I see it as a blessing. I see it as I'm always going to remember him, always will remember him. And this is when my own healing journey started. It was at this moment that stopped. I didn't know it. I had this kind of feeling that I needed to spend more time with my family, and I started spending more time with my family. I had no idea why I wanted to do. I just wanted to spend more time with my family. Like I say, I've seen them once to twice every 1 to 2 years if I was lucky. I had a niece who was 5 years old at this point, and I'd never ever met her or held her before. Like, I started to really understand how important life was, and started feeling feelings that were very alien to me. Okay, which I now know that were love, compassion, gratitude, joy, happiness, even though they were fleeting emotions. I started to feel these things, and are very, very strange, because it's not something I was used to feeling at that time. It was very alien to me, and I kind of, again, same thing I do with emotions. I just thought, okay, I'll just brush them to the side, carry on with my life. So at this point, I decided to accept one of the jobs that I got offered in Abu Dhabi. Funny enough, so I moved to the Middle East. I thought, okay, I'm going to get away from everything that's happened. I'm going to run away. I'm going to escape. And I still had a lot of unresolved emotions I buried deep down since a very, very young age. But at least I'd started to experience a whole new level of emotions, even for a very short time. So I thought, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. Let's just go to the Middle East and live my life. I was going to be good. Little did I know at the time, this move would be the catalyst to my transformation. Moving to a world where I had to deal with so many different nationalities, language barriers, situations I'd never, ever dealt with before, really pushed me straight back. It pulled me straight back into my comfort zone of anger and victimhood. I went straight back to that person I introduced you to at the beginning of this talk. I was working 16, 17 hours a day because I couldn't trust anyone around me to do their job. I was like, everyone was stupid. Everyone, they had no idea what they were doing. I was right, they were wrong. So I had to work every hour I could from open till close to make sure everything got done. Even whether it was right or wrong, it didn't matter. Like that's how I saw it. I was still drinking 9 cups of coffee a day to survive. Like energy was at an all-time low. I could drink a cup of coffee 5 minutes before bed, and I would still crash. I'd still crash out. I'd be gone. Even though I wouldn't have good sleep, I'd still be out for the count. The fantasy of actually feeling energy again, I never thought that'd be possible. I thought energy was like I thought it was like that fleeting dream, that wish that was never ever going to come true. And I was relying on caffeine to survive. Like, does everyone remember those loyalty cards you get in coffee shops where you buy 9 coffees, you get 1 free? Yeah. I was getting through one of those every 1 to 2 days. Literally, they knew me by name. They knew what I loved. They knew everything about me, and I was getting through 1 loyalty card every 1 to 2 days. That's how much I was drinking, and that's how messed up my nervous system was. I was not sleeping well at all. Even though I could sleep, I could go to sleep at most points, wake up, and I was exhausted all the time. I was experiencing chronic physical pain 24/7. I was blaming again everyone around me. I was getting angry with everyone, including my now lovely wife, Charlotte. But at the time, she was just one of obviously my work colleagues. But I would obviously snap at her, and funny enough, she was the only one who ever stood up to me, which is funny. No one else ever did because they were too scared. Charlotte was the only one who ever did, and I just kept repeating the same destructive pattern over and over again until I hit a tipping point. For 10 years, I was doing what I thought was right to live a happy, healthy, meaningful life. I was exercising regularly, very regularly. I was eating healthy, or what I thought was healthy. I would go to the beach on my days off, get some sunshine, relax a bit. I was progressing in my job. I was getting promoted. I was earning more money, but I never felt fulfilled. I was getting everything I thought I wanted, but actually, I didn't want any of it. I thought I wanted it based on my perception of what everyone else thought life should be like or should look like. So I had that high paid leadership position. I had the single figure body fat percentage with rock hard abs, which is my massive goal. I wanted to keep rock hard abs. I was living in a sunny, hot country. I had a nice apartment, a nice car. I was spending money like it was going out of fashion, but none of that made me feel fulfilled. It made nothing in my life any more meaningful. I felt low, just not knowing exactly what to do. On the outside, I was trying to portray the strength and confidence, but on the inside, my energetic body was screaming at me to listen. All this pain, this tightness I was feeling, my energetic body was screaming at me, please pay attention. At this point, I started developing extreme pain in my upper back and neck, which turned chronic. And I'd had chronic back pain for over 4 years. And it got so bad at times when my vision would actually become blurry. The pain would radiate from the middle of my back all the way up my head to the front, and my vision would become blurry. That's how bad it got. And this was a tipping point for me, because I started to think, oh, for Christ's sake, life has got to be easier than this. Okay, this shouldn't feel this hard to live. I tried every physical fix possible to get rid of my chronic pain. I tried physio, I tried chiropractor, I tried massage, I tried injections directly into my spine, but nothing was working. I had a temporary relief for about a few days, and then pain just came back with a vengeance. And that's when I started to think, okay, what about alternative treatments? Like what else is there outside of the physical realm of the medical world that I could potentially do? I started to become a bit more open to trying different things. I was getting really tired of feeling like this, like I was feeling at that time. And it was Charlotte who actually started to introduce me to certain books. She literally, her thing, I was at a point I could not be told what to do. No one could tell me, you should do this. I was going, you do not know what you're talking about. I know everything. I don't need to listen to you. So what Charlotte would do was just, she'd get me a birthday present, a gift, or she'd go, here's a book for you. Here's this for you. I think you might like this. And obviously I wouldn't read them straight away, and then I started to kind of, okay, that's interesting. I'll give it a go. And the first two books I read was Robin Sharma's Lead Without a Title and The Chimp Paradox, Mind Management. And I had a few other books around I was reading as well, but these two really stood out at the beginning. And these helped me shift my perception of what I was currently doing to what I could be doing. I started actually implementing some of these takeaways from the books, and I started seeing positive results in how people responded to me, and they weren't scared of me. They weren't running in fear when I came towards them. And the speed of the results I was achieving with ease as well. And I thought, okay, maybe there is something to this. Maybe there is an easier way. And I've been just making things harder for myself. So you might be wondering why I'm sharing all of this with you, especially since this talk is about being energized for yourself and those you love. And maybe you expect me to talk about nutrition and exercise, but in reality, there's so much more to it than just your daily routines and your habits and your behaviors. And what I want to share with you now is a bit deeper than that. It's what I'm going to share is what should be done before you decide what you should be eating, drinking, moving, and so on. Okay, these habits, these practices are your daily consistent habits that help keep you optimized. But at the start, you've got to dig deeper than that. You've got to build that foundation. Now, these come in to support the deeper work, okay, that you do to realign your energetic body so you can show up for your true, authentic, energized self. Everything I've kind of just told you about so now, can you imagine me showing up for, well, anyone, let alone myself, with full of energy and full of life and full of zest? No, because I was in the chaos. I was causing my own suffering. So this is when I start to focus on what I like to call 3 R's, which to this day continue to help keep me aligned and energized in life. And it can for you too. So make sure you grab a pen and write these down as you go. So these 3 R's work so well for me. Like I say, they work well for me. I explain how they potentially can work for you, but it all comes down to awareness and finding what works best for you. And the first R is about recognition. It's about starting to recognize what your body is telling you. When I start to become aware of the signs and signals my body was sending me, it was telling me, I realized that I was misaligned with who I am. And I didn't realize at that point. I know what that was now. Like I didn't know who I was. And that was the funny thing. I had no idea who I was. But obviously I'll go through that a bit more in a minute. But it's important to know that when your inner world is not functioning at its optimum, the only way for it to get your attention and to tell you there's something going on is through physical manifestations. So when you experience tightness, pain, skin issues, digestive issues, sleep issues, overthinking, emotional outbursts for no reason, to more serious ailments like asthma, heart conditions, autoimmune conditions, to many other symptoms, this is your inner body telling you to pay attention. And the more serious the issue is, usually the more chronic the condition and the more it has to get to that intensity for you to pay attention. So let me know in the chat, has anyone ever experienced any of these signals, any of these signs before, like tightness, pain, digestive issues, skin issues, anything that's come out of the blue and you don't know why? It's just showing up for you. Give me a little thumbs up if you have had this before or you're having it now. So I want you to, perfect, yes, thumbs up, definitely. Awesome. So I want you to think of your body. Like, is like your body sending you a notification to remind you what you need to do, like the notifications you get on your phone. So when your phone sends you a reminder to update your phone systems, do you ignore it? And if you do, what do you think is going to happen to your phone? The phone's going to slow down. It's going to stop working efficiently. Apps will start breaking down, stop working. So all these systems will start to, well, not function anymore until you update and reboot it, and then everything functions smoothly again. And the same is true for your body. Your body will send you these notifications telling you it's time for a system update and reboot. But first, you need to recognize the signs and become aware of these signals. And to do this, you need to be present with yourself. You need to take time for yourself. And this is where I started on kind of my healing journey of meditation. And the first time I tried meditation, couldn't get on board with guided meditation. I find it very distracting. So I thought, okay, what can I do instead? So I'll put on a soundscape. So nice, just a nice soundscape in the background, and I just sat with myself, just listening to my body, what was going on. Okay, but by the way, this was extremely hard at the beginning. Okay, after being on the go all the time and never giving myself chance to rest, sitting still for just 5 minutes was painful. It felt like suffering. Okay, I was so anxious doing it, but the important thing to remember is that is okay, because it's something new you're having to adapt to. There's no right or wrong when it comes to your own self-care. It's about what works for you. Okay, but after a couple of weeks, it became easier. It became more enjoyable to do. And the funny thing is, just by giving my body that attention, that time, that presence, some of the heaviness and pain I was experiencing started to ease off just by doing nothing else but being present with it for 5 minutes a day. Because that's what your body wants, is for you to pay attention, to connect with it. And from here, I started to do daily body scans. This is when I got into a body scan meditation. And I started to do a 15-minute body scan every single morning, where I'd scan from the top of my head down to my toes and back up, just paying attention and being aware of any sensation that was showing up. I was observing any sensations, no judgment, no criticism, not trying to find out why they were there, what was going on, just being with them. And just that deeper level of observation created a relaxing, calming effect on me. And I started to notice my energy levels rising. I started to feel more consistent energy throughout the day, which helped put me in a more resourceful state, basically, to live from, to thrive from. I started to move, I started to think, I started to act differently with more purpose. Okay. And as a gift to you, I am going to be adding that guided body scan audio into the digital goodie bag, so you can try it for yourself as well. And all you have to do is plug in the headphones, listen, and just be with it, listen to it. And I challenge you to try it for 7 days. Just try it for 7 days in a row, every morning or every evening, whenever you can do it. Morning is always a good time because it'll set you up good for the day. And just reflect and write down what you experience after that 15 minutes. What do you experience? How do you feel? What are you feeling? Doesn't matter if you know or not. Just write down whatever experience comes up over that 15 minutes. And trust me, it is a game changer. Okay, so that will be in the digital goodie bag for you, ready and waiting for you to download and get on that for your 7-day challenge. So the second R from there is reset. Okay, this is when I came across something called retention breathing, the Wim Hof method, some of you may know. So anyone not sure what that is, it's a form of breathwork that really helps you to consciously influence your stress response and become more resilient at handling and processing stress, to help keep you in a balanced, energetic state, so you can show up in a better way for those that you love. And after the first time trying it, I was hooked. I was instantly connected with it. I felt amazing, energizing. It's like it was forcing me to be present with my body. I felt all this tension just released from my body after just one session. And obviously I was doing it every single day since. I started to understand that I can influence my nervous system. I can influence my energy. I don't need to prioritize food and exercise to get more energy, even though that is very important to your overall health. It's part of those practices and those habits that need to be there. But first of all, I need to know what's going on. I needed to pay attention to my body. Okay. One of the big things I realized through that process is the breath was so key here. I needed to retrain my breathing patterns, because that was such a disconnect for me. Mind and body, as my breathing was so disconnected from what I was doing and how I was showing up. And the reason that is so important, I want you to think of your breath as the CEO of your body. Okay, it influences every single system in your body. Think about the CEO of a company. Okay, that CEO, if that CEO is toxic, they're ego-driven, they rule by fear. What do you think all those departments that the CEO is looking after, what's going to happen to them? They're going to suffer because they're not getting the vital support they need to function optimally and feel connected as a one unit. The body is the same. If your breathing patterns are not optimal, this affects how your digestive system absorbs important nutrients from your foods, how your nervous system's ability to be resilient to stress, your cardiovascular system to be able to pump blood around your body, your respiratory system to be able to efficiently utilize oxygen that you take in. Okay, by retraining your breath, you take back control of your inner world. You can influence any situation you place your mind and body in by using your breath. Just like if you were here yesterday and you listened to Waleed's talk, the breath is king here. It is such an important and easy, free resource that you have. Okay, it's with you 24/7. So let me give you an example of how powerful it is. I mentioned I connected with it when I first started doing it, because retention breathing really helps you to peel back those layers and and delve deeper into your inner world. So when I combine retention breathing with a powerful visualization exercise, I've done it every morning for 20 minutes. And the visualization was of me creating a healthy, optimized version of me, not just creating it, but embodying it and living it as if it's already happened. Now, after doing this every single morning for 20 minutes for 2 weeks consistently, not only was I feeling amazing, like energized, I was energetically aligned. After one session, I remember standing up and something was different. I felt lighter, but I started to move around, and literally within 10 seconds, I just realized that all the pain I had in my back, that chronic pain for 4 years, had literally gone like that. I just stood up, it was gone. I remember I ran into the kitchen where Charlotte was, and I just running, I was going, my pain's gone. Thinking, what? I was like literally just moving. I was moving. I was going, my pain's gone. I got no more pain. So that pain in my back is gone. And it was like, it's like this huge weight, well, it was a 10-year, so more than 10 years of suffering, but like 4 years of chronic pain, and just disappeared. And I was like, oh my God, I honestly, at that point, I didn't know what happened. And this is when the light bulb moment clicked for me. I started to realize that, oh my God, the connection between our mind and body, our breath, it's so important. And that's when I started to go deeper into reading and researching and qualifying in breath and breath work and understanding that connection in the body, because it's so important for showing up with consistent energy, consistent joy, consistent presence every single day. And now, anytime I start feeling pain now, or tightness or overwhelm or anger, I know that my energetic body is telling me to bring myself back to me. And this is another gift I want to share with you. Okay, so I've added a guided retention breathing track, audio track, into your goodie bag as well. It's about 34 minutes long, but trust me, try it once, and it's profound. You will feel a significant shift in your energy. Okay, and then moving on to now the last R is realign. Okay, realign. This is where, so after all those amazing revelations, that transformation of being in chronic pain for so long and now feeling complete freedom, I thought, great, all I need to do is just keep breathing every day and I'm sorted for life. But unfortunately, no. That was just the tip of the iceberg. That's the daily practices that gets me into the right state for my body to function optimally, again, resourcefully, and heal itself from the stresses of daily life. I still felt that something was missing. There was one more piece of the puzzle that I needed to find. And after much learning, searching, and experimenting with different modalities, it hit me. I can do all the body scanning, all the breath work, all the emotional work I want. But if it's not aligned with who I am, then it's going to be a constant uphill struggle. And I realized that I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know who I was being. I wasn't fully connected with my energetic body. Everything in life is energy, energetic frequencies. Our thoughts, our emotions, the food we eat, the water we drink, the people, the things that we surround ourselves with, the environments we put ourselves in, it's energy. It all comes back to energy. And I was still letting my energy be influenced by the external world and trying to gain my depleted energy through food, through water, through breath work, which kept me consistent, but it never helped me to optimize to my fullest potential, which is okay, because these are all important. We need these consistent habits and behaviors to optimize where we are, but we need to build that foundation so where we are is a much higher level to really optimize. But I wasn't building and strengthening that connection with my own energetic body, my own energy field. And the biggest reason why is because I didn't know who I was being. And this is important because when you truly know who you are, the power in itself is enough to build a deep, sustainable, energetic connection with yourself. And nothing can penetrate your energy when you live from your true, authentic self. So I had to figure out my I am. The two most powerful words in the human language. I am is who you are being. So if you're constantly saying, I'm stressed, I am not good enough, I'm anxious, that's the energy you're manifesting and putting out into the world. And that's how you show up for yourself and your loved ones. My I am, up to that point, was created through my perceptions of who it is I thought I should be based on society. And I was unconsciously choosing that perception for my whole life. And until I started to change that perception, I could not live my true authentic self. I could not show up as my best self for the people I love. And this is where I found quantum flow. Charlotte mentioned it in the talk. And if you were here yesterday, listening to Regan Hillier, Juan Pablo Barona's talk, Wampa is the founder and creator of quantum flow. And it's the energetic of alignment of heart, mind, body, and soul. So, and the whole purpose of it is about connecting with divine truth, with your I am. Okay, quantum flow was the missing piece of the puzzle for me. I was asking myself, there has to be something out there that integrates and embodies the mental, emotional, physical, and energetic bodies. And that's when I found quantum flow. I got introduced to it and I loved it, even though I was not fully in. I was not fully brought into all aspects of it due to my ego keep getting away. But through quantum flow, through my breathwork, I learned to let go. I learned to surrender and just go with the flow. Quantum flow is a practice where you can do all your movement, your breathwork, your meditation, your visualizations in one powerful embodying practice. It's all about embodying who you are and how you show up in the world. Every quantum flow practice brings true alignment back into my inner world. And now whenever I feel myself getting overwhelmed, stressed, lost, which happens very rarely nowadays, I just bring myself back to divine truth, to my I am. And I ask myself, is what I'm doing right now aligned with who I am? Okay, I'll read that again. So is what I'm doing now, right now, aligned with who I am? This question realigns me every single time and balances my mental, my emotional, my physical, and my energetic bodies for me to show up as my true, authentic self and to have the energy to show up for the ones I love. And you can do this too. Simply start with the 3 R's: recognition. Recognize what's happening in your body. Be aware of the signals, what they're telling you. Be present with your body. You don't need to fully understand what's happening. You just need to trust your body and be with it. Second, reset. Okay, reset your nervous system, reset your state of being through breath work, meditation, journaling, whatever works for you on a daily basis. Consistency is key here. And then the third R is realign. Know who you are being. For me, this was quantum flow that really helped me embody this and find this. For you, it could be something else. It's important to find what is your I am and ask yourself in every area of your life, is this aligned with who I am? If not, it's time to stop choosing it and start changing it. And as my last gift to you, if you would like to experience quantum flow and really embody what I've just been discussing with you and find your I am and connect with that, I'll be running a quantum flow experience on Saturday, the 5th of November, 9 a.m. UK time, 12 p.m. UAE time. During this experience, you're going to learn how to stress less and go with the flow. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, worried, struggling to keep your thoughts and emotions in check, you'll experience a sense of calm and energized, well, energy at the same time. It's a kind of strange concept of being calm and energized at the same time. It's an amazing feeling. You're going to feel an energetic alignment you may have never felt before. You're going to feel clear-headed and resourceful to perform at your highest level in every area of your life. And if that sounds like something you want to experience, Gus and Haley are going to put the link in the chat for you. There it is. So you can book yourself on. It's completely free to everyone who has got a ticket for good. So it's just my way of giving back and helping you to experience what I've experienced as well. It might not be for you. It might be exactly what you need, but the only way to find out, try it and have a go. Okay. So I just want to thank you so much for everyone for your time and your energy and listening to me today. I really appreciate you all.